If you're in your 40s or 50s, paying into a pension system every month, you need to hear this. Someone has to pay for Europe's 400 billion euro pension crisis. And the uncomfortable truth is, it's probably you. Not the politicians who created this mess, not the fund managers who made the decisions. You. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how they're planning to do it and what you can do about it before it's too late. Here's what nobody is saying out loud. When a pension system collapses, the losses don't just disappear, they get redistributed. The question isn't whether someone pays, but who pays, how much, and when. And right now, across Europe, governments are making quiet decisions about exactly that. Decisions that will determine whether you retire at 65 or 72, whether your pension covers your lifestyle or just your basic bills, whether you leave a legacy for your children or spend your final years dependent on them. Let me be brutally clear about what's happening. In parts 1 and 2, we showed you where the 400 billion went and why this crisis is accelerating. Now comes the part most financial analysts won't tell you. The bill is being divided right now, and the people doing the dividing aren't the ones who will be paying it. Think about this. You've been contributing to your pension for 20, 30, maybe 40 years. You've done everything right, worked hard, paid your taxes, trusted the system, and now someone has to cover a massive shortfall. Who do you think they're coming for first? Here's how the redistribution actually works. There are only 4 groups who can absorb pension losses: current retirees, workers currently paying in, taxpayers funding government guarantees, and future generations who will inherit the debt. Every European government is calculating which combination of these 4 groups will carry the burden. And here's the part that should worry you most. Policymakers already know which of these groups you're in. Let's start with the most immediate impact: benefit reductions and indexation freezes. It sounds technical, but it means your promised pension gets cut. You were told you'd get 70% of your final salary, now you'll get 55%, maybe less. The reduction doesn't happen all at once. Instead, your pension stops growing with inflation, so every year it buys less. A pension that covers your costs today might leave you struggling in 5 years. And that gap just keeps widening. Some countries are implementing so-called automatic stabilizers, which is just fancy language for a simple, harsh reality. When pension funds run short, benefits automatically decrease or contribution rates automatically increase. No debate, no vote, no consent. The system just adjusts against you. This is where most people underestimate how aggressive the adjustments will become. Retirement age increases are accelerating. You plan to retire at 65. Now it's 67, then 68. Some countries are already talking about 70. And here's the part they don't advertise. These increases hit different people very differently. If you're a software engineer, working until 70 might be manageable, but if you're a construction worker, your body might not last that long. If you're in manufacturing, your job might not even exist by then. So what can you... I've got a tough question for you, and I really want you to think about it. If you had to choose right now, which group should be the first to lose money? Current retirees, people still working, or your own children? I know, there's no good answer, but please, drop your choice in the comments below. Understanding how we all really feel about this reveals which solution governments are most likely to choose in the end. Let's start with what's happening to people who are already retired. In theory, a pension promise is sacred. Once you retire, your benefits are supposed to be untouchable. That's the social contract we all signed up for. But when these systems face collapse, that contract gets torn up and rewritten. We've already seen it happen. Countries like Greece went through pension cuts of 20, 30, even 40% for people who were already in retirement. These are people who can't just go back to work. They planned their entire lives around a specific income, and suddenly they have no way to adapt. And this isn't an isolated incident, it's spreading. Italy, Portugal, Spain, they're all implementing what they call sustainability measures, which is just a fancy way of saying they're cutting benefits. The pattern is always the same. They start with the highest earners, cutting supplementary pensions first. They frame it as a matter of fairness, making the wealthy pay their share. But then, quietly, the cuts start moving downward. Why? Because the money has to come from somewhere, and frankly, there just aren't enough wealthy retirees to fill a 400 billion euro gap. Now, for those of you who are still working and paying into the system, here's your reality. Contribution rates are going up. In some countries, workers and employers are already paying over 20% of a salary into pension systems, and it's still not enough. So the rates just keep climbing. This means less money in your paycheck today for a pension that will be worth less tomorrow. You're literally paying more to get less. But there's another group getting hit even harder. People in their 40s and early 50s. You were too young to retire under the old rules, but too old to completely change your retirement strategy. You've spent decades paying in, building up what you thought were secure pension rights. Now those rights are being recalculated, and guess what? Every single recalculation seems to shrink the amount you'll actually receive. Then there's the taxpayer bailout option. When pension funds get into trouble, the government steps in. That sounds reassuring, until you remember where government money comes from. It comes from you, from your taxes. So you end up paying twice. Once through your pension contributions, and then again through your taxes to bail out the very same system. And here's the brutal irony, that bailout might not even protect your own pension. It might go to protect someone else's, while yours still gets cut. Let's talk about what this means for your actual life. If your pension income suddenly drops by 20%, what changes? Maybe you can't help your kids with a down payment on a house. Maybe you have to postpone that medical procedure you need. Or maybe you find yourself going back to work part-time in your 70s, not because you want to, but because you have to. These aren't just abstract policy debates. These are real decisions about how you will live the last decades of your life. And here's something almost no one is talking about: the breakdown of intergenerational wealth transfer. Your generation probably expected to inherit assets from your parents and pass on assets to your own children. But if a pension collapse forces you to burn through your savings, sell your home, or take on debt in retirement, that entire chain breaks. Your children inherit less, or worse, they inherit your debts and obligations instead of wealth and opportunity. Once these changes are locked in, reversing them is politically impossible. Most of them won't even be front-page news. They'll arrive quietly in letters as recalculations and technical adjustments, one envelope at a time. So what's actually going to happen? The honest answer is a mix of everything I've described: benefit cuts, higher retirement ages, bigger contributions, and taxpayer bailouts. No single solution is politically acceptable, so governments will spread the pain around, making sure no single group gets hit hard enough to organize and fight back. It's death by 1,000 cuts. But here's what you can actually do about it. First, and most importantly, understand that the pension you were promised is probably not the pension you're going to get. You need to plan for that reality. Second, diversify your retirement income. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, whether it's a state or a company pension. Third, start mentally preparing for the possibility that you might need to work longer than you planned. And fourth, have those honest, sometimes difficult conversations with your family about financial expectations, inheritance, and how you'll support each other in old age. The uncomfortable truth is that someone has to pay for this mess. The decision about who pays has already been made. You just haven't been officially told yet. But if you're working, paying taxes, or planning to retire in the next 20 years, part of that bill definitely has your name on it. Thanks for watching. If this got you thinking, please like and subscribe for more content that tells you what's really going on.